This is the first episode of a new series where I restore the movement and the case of a 19th century American Waterbury clock. Hi, I'm Scotty. Welcome back to Scotty's Clock World. I upload new clock repair videos on Sunday and Wednesday mornings of every week. This is today's clock, a rather strange combination. It's got a Waterbury movement in it. It's a 10-inch drop dial wall clock with a Waterbury movement. It's got a Japanese face on the clock. It's with a Tokyo mark, H inside a square inside a diamond. So I assume that was put on later on because the case and the movement are genuine Waterbury products. The hands are genuine Waterbury also. So I'll take the glass and the bezel off. Looks like it's got a high copper content in that. It's pretty quite pink. We'll see how that comes up later on when we run over it with some steel wool. Yeah, that's getting rid of a lot of that build up on it from over the years. Okay, I'll take the hands off. Our hands are a little bit sticky, but that's got him. They're genuine Waterbury hands. That's the original pendulum bob that came with it, with its rating nut down the bottom. We'll give that a clean up on the bottom. We'll clean up the rust on the hanger there, and that'll probably come up nice and shiny, I would think. Right, we'll take the face off. And before we look at the movements, we'll turn it over. On the back it has written there, 10-inch drop octagonal strike, manufactured by the clock company, warranted to keep the good time. So that's an original paper sticker. So that's been there for quite some time. The case needs a lot of work done on it. You can see that the lacquer's crazed all up and down there. On the other side too, you can see the timber work round here is in pretty rough condition. That's going to need a bit of work. Some of the pieces have opened up, but what is interesting is it's got this series of rosettes all the way around the case, and it used to originally have a gold line running up and down there, and it's got smaller rosettes down on the bottom piece of the clock. Also, it's got quite a lovely painting of a girl's face down here. Whether it's been reverse painted or it's a water sticker, I don't know at this point in time. We'll check that out when we get inside, but it's very pretty. In fact, this upside down doesn't matter particularly. It's very pretty. All right, so that's the general lay of the land on the clock. There you can see the original label from the Waterbury Clock Company in Connecticut, USA. So what the Japanese dial is doing on it, I have got no idea. The clock strikes on the usual round gong, quite a reasonable resonance there. Hammer lever's seen better days with all the bends and twists in it. There's a pretty bizarre looking bend on the suspension spring here. We're now going to remove the movement out of the case. I'll use a long sharp screwdriver to get in and take these screws out. It's a relatively deep case. The screws have got quite a large head on them. Smaller one down here. This isn't an original one, I wouldn't think. This one up here looks like it's probably original. Take those out. And we've got one up the top, which is there. Screw that. Take the screw out. There we go. We can now take the movement out. There we can see Waterbury Clock Company. Springs seem to be in pretty good nick and wound very tightly. Look how tight they're wound up. A little bit of movement. There's the original key. Put that over there. And a little bit of movement in the second wheel there, and there's also a monstrous big blob of solder on there. So someone with very little expertise has decided to rebuild one of the lantern pinions. Alright, we'll check those when we get inside. The escape wheel's turning alright. And that's a heavy duty spring. The bit of wire they've got on the hammer, that's definitely not original. Wow, that is seriously heavy. That's at least 3 times stronger than it needs to be. Bits and pieces of rust here and there, so the movement may have had some water on it at some stage. So we'll investigate that when we get into it. Right, I'll remove the case from my bench and we'll start taking the movement apart. We'll start off by letting down the mainsprings. I check them before they're very, very tight, but we'll get them sorted. This is the size mainspring clamp I'm going to use. I'll slot one over the time side mainspring. Get it down the bottom there a bit. It's going to slide up and down, but it won't matter because we've got a fair bit of tension to take off the spring. Now, number 6 key on a let down tool. Now we look inside here under the top plate, find where the click is, give a slight wind up on the spring and then let the spring slowly run down in your hand part of the way, then put the click back into the ratchet so that you can see how you're going in letting down the spring. Got a long way to go yet. Alright, back we go. Line the mainspring clamp, let down tool onto the winding arbor again, tighten the spring marginally, take the click out and let the let down tool wind round in your hand while watching the spring. It's moving out now. I'll put the click back into the ratchet, have a look and see how we're going. Yep, we're getting there. Taking some time because it's been wound up so tightly, it's taking a fair bit of time to get it unwound. Doesn't matter, back we go again. Slight positive pressure, pull the click out. You can hear the spring winding down. I'll put the click back in again so it catches on the ratchet. If you find this video helpful, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. Well, we're getting close. It's just about there. Alright, this time I'll keep going till it catches because the mainspring clamp is in the correct position. Alright, back to where we were. Feel all the tension on the spring. It's been taken up with the mainspring clamp. There it is. Alright, I'll do the other one off camera. We don't need to see the same thing repeated, and I'll let that down and then I'll come back. Alright, we'll start off by removing the pallets and crutch assembly, this piece here, which includes that very strangely bent suspension spring. We'll take that out very carefully. There we go. Now we can remove the crutch and pallets. They come out in one piece. Very strangely bent suspension spring there. We'll be investigating that as we get into things a bit further. Bit of rust there on the count lever. We'll clean that up later on. also the angle of entry of the cantilever is not right. See, it's catching on the back of the wheel there. It is supposed to go straight into the center of that hole and not touch that tooth there and not touch that side of the wheel. And it's touching both, so that will require a little bit of realignment later on, and we'll take the rust off that. All right, now we'll start undoing the screws. We'll loosen them up first. Some verdigris under those, we'll have to clean those up, loosen them up and move the plate a little bit and see what reaction we get. Not very much. All right, I'll take the screws out, have a look and see. A little bit rough. It's had a bit of abuse in its life, not as bad as some of the other ones, but I think what we'll do is we'll reface those. Yeah, we'll reface those on the lathe, recut the slot with our screwdriver slot cutting file, special file, and they look like they've been blued in actual fact, so we'll re-blue them. Yep, they've all been a bit abused along the line, people using the wrong size screwdrivers in them, amongst other things, no doubt. Alright, they're all out now, so we'll very carefully lift the plate. There might be a little bit of tension left in the trains, probably not very much, but there could be a tiny little bit. There we go, there was a little bit, not a problem, it's been contained.